Hey guys, Kyle, the Death Knight of Anime here, bringing you my review for My Hero Academia Season 4, Episode 7. So, first off, the beginning of the episode cuts back to everyone back at UA, and the thing about this scene is that while it's a nice reprieve before shit hits the fan, it's also still reminding us how heavy the circumstances of this mission actually are, and how much the responsibility is weighing on the students of Class 1A like taking part in it, even to those who basically who will only have like a small part to play, obviously. And in Izuku's case, the uncertainty of whether or not he'll fail again is what's constantly eating away at him. But just through that casual conversation with Ida, it was brief but powerful. It was brief but impactful enough in order to make enough in order for Izuku to remember why he's training to be a hero and why he wants to be a hero to begin with, even if he couldn't. Even if Izuku couldn't actually say anything to Ida, it was just a simple, just a simple like, just him simply saying thank you to Ida was enough to just Ida's words alone and him saying thank you. It was enough in order to shake Izuku back from just this tiny slump of like him questioning himself and his ability to save Eddie. With that said, though, I feel this episode subtly highlighted a key difference between Izuku and Mirio, which is that even though Izuku has shown multiple times throughout this season so far that he has the resolve in order to save Eddie, it also was a case where, again, he was also just as much doubting and questioning his ability to actually do so. In contrast, Mirio throughout this episode and honestly ever since the meeting, ever since Night Eye's meeting, Mirio himself has remained laser focused on saving Eri, with the only thing weighing on his mind right now was his initial decision to let her go. But in terms of Mirio's Mirio questioning his actual ability to save her, he basically wasn't doing that. He wasn't questioning whether or not he could actually do it or not. Mirio from the very moment of this has had full confidence that he can and will do it. And in the actual process of and the key here is that in the actual process of saving Eddie, showing any signs of doubt is going to be the key as to whether or not either Izuku or Mirio can pretty much actually achieve this and whether or not Eri is actually willing to in order to grasp onto the hand that wants to save her, because if Izuku does. Obviously, Izuku is going to do what he did before, like the first time he tried to save Eri. But if Izuku shows even the slightest hint of if Izuku shows even the smallest hint of hesitation or anything of hesitation or even doubt, Eri isn't going to grasp onto that hand. Eri needs to see what she saw. Eri with Izuku, what Eri needs to see is what she saw before. She needs to see the confidence and the desire in order to save her. That's the only thing that's really going to save her, especially now after this episode where we pretty much see that supposedly like pretty much Overhaul is planning to move her out of the compound. So yeah, they also need to kind of hurry up on that one too. But yeah. Now, pacing and adaptation wise, this episode was definitely one of the slower ones because we only got 2 chapters adapted, and the 2 chapters that were adapted in this episode are arguably the slower ones in this arc. Like pretty much not arguably like between these 2 chapters, a lot of it is just kind of is just the from final and the from final initial build up before the actual raid. That's really all the 2 chap. That's really all the 2 chapters that were adapted in this episode were really meant for. Arguably because of that, this was probably one of the slower episodes. I'd say it had moments, but arguably as a whole, it was one of the slower episodes. Um, but the thing is, we've pretty much. But the thing is, this probably was the biggest hurdle in order to get over with this arc, and now that we've gotten over that hurdle of getting the final setup for basically the raid on the Shihasekai's base and whatnot, I do imagine from here we'll be going through the material a lot quicker now, and what we're probably going to see from here is that Bones is probably going to end up adapting more than probably more than at least 2 chapters beyond this point. I think we're probably going to see them start to adapt at least from 3 chapters, at least 3 chapters per episode now. Because if memory serves me, a lot of the stuff from here just goes by a lot of what happens beyond this point goes by pretty much super fast and just at breakneck speed. Everything just pretty much hits the fan again and again and again. So yeah, I think with the pacing speeding up, we're probably going to get a lot more adapted in episodes beyond this point too. One major thing with this episode, though, to take in mind is that Night Eye has already used his quirk, and while I don't think he's pushed it to his limit yet, this also, if you think about it, this also does kind of handicap him in a way where we can expect Night Eye in order to see where we can expect to see. Pretty much Night Eye, pretty much doing a lot more on a combat level now, and probably sparingly using his quirk from here. I think we're probably gonna get this, because Night Eye has already used his quirk once. We're probably gonna see what Night Eye can do on a combat level now, which with And another thing about this episode with Night Eye specifically is in her monologue about Mirio is that we usually do get a greater sense of what I was talking about last week about how with Night Eye the thing he's with Night Eye the pretty much thing he's waiting for most of all is that he's waiting for something to happen where he can. Something to happen that'll pretty much change the future he's predicted. He's pretty much scared. He won't show it outwardly, but he is scared of the future for Hero Society and for pretty much All Might. So right now he's only trying to do what he can in order to preserve the present. But he is waiting for that one thing to happen where the future he's predicted can be changed. And yeah, again, I think that's the one thing we're probably going to again. Obviously, that's something that's going to be left up in Izuku's hands that he's wanting Izuku to in order to show him something that'll basically change the future. So yeah, a little bit of insight on what Night Eye's thinking there. And yeah, the episode ends off with our heroes charging into the Shihasekai base, but between that, we also get a couple major reveals. The first is that we get an actual introduction to the person that basically Overhaul calls boss. The person we see there is the Yakuza boss, And the boss himself, as we see, he looks like he's basically terminally ill and at death's door. And that small little moment between like pretty much Overhaul and the boss and the Yakuza boss, that moment in itself, it not only gives us a better understanding of why Overhaul is probably doing what he's doing, but it's a hint that things aren't exactly how they've been perceived thus far, and probably we're gonna get a lot of reveals of of things we didn't, of things that are probably a little different from what we've learned thus far. Um, the other major reveal that happened in this episode is a post-credit scene where we get introduced to the 8 bullets of the Shi Hasakai. And I will say there is a little bit of a creep value that's pretty much lost with their introduction in the anime compared to the manga. But just alone hearing the name of the group is enough to tell you these guys are at the top of their are at the top of their game, or at the top of the group. So and the preview even kind of hints at that too. So yeah, we can expect a lot from these guys. But yeah, guys, that's my review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. I'm on Twitter, Facebook, and Illustrator Crunchyroll. Death Knight of Anime, signing off. Later, guys.